And we are back here on Patriots No Huddle, brought to you by PatsFans.com. Big show today with Miguel Benzan. You know him as PatsCap on X. I am Derek Havens, Mike D. Bates, D. Balsherry in the house today. Want to thank everyone who's joining us live on YouTube. And shout out to Ian Logue for the possibility to make that happen. First, before we jump off, Miguel, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time waiting for the spring to actually come here. A little surprise, a little snowstorm the other day. Um, just ready to rock and roll. So cannot wait. I'm tired of the draft talk. I'm already tired. I'm more than tired of talking about hearing about AJ Brown. Oh goodness gracious! I every day it cracks me up. The beat writers are talking about it. Oh, it's because of the cap. It's because of the cap. I'm like, well, everyone told you that like 6 months ago. Then we're gonna trade. like, oh my goodness gracious! You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't watch. I don't listen to Mr. Felger, so I don't know how Mr. Captain Crab is handling this. You know, the delay of trading AJ Brown. So we'll see. See, just
It's
tired.
It's interesting. I will say this, we don't have to elaborate on it really much, but it seems like depending on the savings of the June 1 situation with AJ Brown, this is from a Philadelphia standpoint that it could affect their plans of how they're attacking. There's certain restructures and new contracts they're trying to put together, and there's a lot of money that's going to be doled out because they've done a good job drafting and developing, and so they're trying to set up future deals. And AJ Brown's deal, it seems like it's going to affect some of the other stuff they do. But you're right; they have been talking about. Uh, it's one of those rare situations where everyone's been saying that this was going to be a situation, and I think a lot of times, and I think reporters and insiders are just as guilty as this of as very as just normal fans,
Yep.
and it's because I think that more often than not these situations just happen anyway. But I think you're just looking at two organizations, and specifically starting with Philadelphia, that is not budging with what they want to make happen. And now all the suitors have kind of fallen off, and it does seem like it's going to be AJ Brown's traded to the Patriots June 1, or he
June
stays for
2nd.
the or sorry, June 2nd, or he stays with the Philadelphia Eagles for this, at least for this season.
Or I hate to bring up injuries. Someone gets injured in the offseason
Yes.
workout. Some wide receiver gets injured, creating a need for another team for a wide receiver. The
Yes.
worst the worst thing for the Eagles is if Devontae Smith gets injured.
Yeah.
Then they have to keep AJ Brown.
That's a great point. That's an awesome point. See, look, you didn't want to talk about AJ Brown. We're having a good conversation about it. This
but
is great.
okay,
Uh,
but I have to say something new. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody's
well, man, there's so many jokes I want to make, but we just can't. We just talked about it before we went live. Mike, how you doing today, my friend? You had a question for Miguel?
I'm doing great. I always have questions for Miguel. Come on, I've been waiting a long time for this. It's been
all
a
right.
long time since I've shared the microphone with the pharaoh of Foxborough Finance, with the monetary monarch, with the baron of the bottom line. I can keep
like that one.
going. The great and powerful wizard of Benzan. It's been a while since I've been able to run through these. I kind of
Yeah,
like it. I miss it, man.
yeah,
But no,
me
all
too.
kidding aside, it always is an honor and a privilege to share the microphone with you, my friend. I think everybody in Patriots Nation right now, yeah, they got an eye on AJ Brown, but everybody wants to know, when is Christian Gonzalez going to put pen to paper, sign this deal, keep him here long term? Now, you look at what the Patriots are going to do. Got some reports out there that they plan on picking up the $18.1 million 50-year
Hmm.
option, give themselves a little more time, work out a long-term deal. You've done amazing work, and anybody that hasn't checked it out, please check out Miguel's page on Blue Sky. Everything you need to know about this
Yeah.
deal is there. But for the benefit of our listeners and people that are tuning in live right now, what might a potential deal for Christian Gonzalez look like? And what do you believe will be the process in terms of how they go about getting this done?
So in October, I think it was the first time I projected a Christian Gonzalez extension. I said in October he'd get. I thought he'd be signed by now
Mm,
because following what happened with Darryl Stingley,
right.
because Houston had Sarah excuse it, Jr. They had signed him in March. I thought that he was going to give Christian Gonzalez to be signed to a $31 million deal, API deal. Of course, the Rams go ahead and trade for Trent McDuffie because the Kansas City Chiefs do not believe in paying their cornerbacks. So they trade him to the Rams, who believe in paying their cornerbacks. They give him that $31 million deal. I don't know Christian Gonzalez personally. Okay, so if Christian Gonzalez's goal is to become the highest paid cornerback, he's now looking at surpassing $31 million. Now, sometimes it's just a little ego thing where you just go $31.1 million, right? But he's got Weatherspoon out from Seahawks is also up for an extension, and we know he's going to get paid too. Right. So whoever gets signed first is not going to be his reign as the highest paid cornerback in the league ever is going to be short lived because the next either if it's Weatherspoon it gets sent first, Christian Gonzalez will pass him, or vice versa. I now think I don't know, but I would think let's just go with the next one. Let's go 30. Let's lose 32. Right, and there's been some people believe, and I are speculating that either Weatherspoon or Gonzalez are looking to get up to become the highest paid cornerback, but become one of the highest paid defenders. Period, which is in the $40 million range. All right, I just have a hard time believing that, as we've seen from the past 10 years, that the franchise tag percentage for cornerbacks has been going down. So like in 2015, the percentage of the league cap for the franchise tag was in 2015, 9%. This year is like about 7%. All right. It's been going down for whatever reason. All right. I can't imagine that Weatherspoon, especially when JSN got a $42 million deal, is going to be able to ask for $40 million when we see the top wide receivers get so much more money than the top cornerbacks in the league. All right. So I'm thinking at best that the highest amount that either Weatherspoon or Gonzalez gets is going to get 35. But I'm thinking for the Patriots, it's going to most likely to be 32 if they do it before July, before the training camp starts. All right. Because it becomes a risk for Christian Gonzalez to go on the field in July in practice without a deal because he can get hurt. All right, we know his 2026 deal is fully guaranteed. 2026 deal is already, and when they pick up the options, his 2027 money will be fully guaranteed. All right, but if he gets hurt in the preseason, there's no reason for the Patriots to make a deal with him then. They might as well just wait out until he gets healthy to get a deal. All right. And some people are talking like, and we all know, I'll say this, forget about this idea of being holding out. At best, at worst, he's going to be holding in because he doesn't have enough years on his rookie deal, enough crew seasons. If he was to hold out and not show up at all in July, then 2026, no matter when he shows up, if he was to show up in September, if you miss time on your rookie deal and you don't miss some games and miss days from training camp, 2026 doesn't count as a accrued season, which means you get delayed hitting free agency. So that's not going to happen. He might hold in, but he's not going to hold out.
Right. Go. Excellent point. And I'm so glad that you made that because that is a common question that I've been getting. What if this extends into training camp and Christian decides that he's going to play hardball and hold out? That's something that I continuously try to advise either my listeners or my viewers, and especially in this case, those that tune into Patriots No Huddle. At least let them know that is not a possibility if Christian wants to hit free agency when he's supposed to and continue to accrue seasons.
Well, do the Patriots too? Do the Patriots want to wait?
The only reason to wait is you think that the market's not going to keep on going up, and they know it will if Weatherspoon doesn't sign a deal.
Well, unless you're
it's a
Greg
game of
Bedard.
chicken. Huh?
I was going to say, unless you're Greg Bedard, I don't want to speak for him, but I think his point, if I'm not, I don't want to speak. I guess I don't want to speak out of turn, but if I'm understanding what I've heard him say is that they want to see maybe it's more buy-in, or they want to kind of make sure that he kind of continues to take his game, because I know that there was reporting in general about basically them wanting more out of Christian Gonzalez very early on this last
Okay.
season. And then all of a sudden things clicked and he just took off and he was, obviously terrific the rest of the season.
His price can only go down.
Oh, I agree with you.
I mean, because go up because like literally he keeps on getting better. He makes a case for asking for to becoming one of the highest paid defenders. All right, if you want to wait, his price, let's say 32. I can't imagine he takes anything less than 32. All right, it's not going to go till next year. It's going to drop to 29 or 28. It's going to go from 32 to 35. All right, his price is going to only go up, and then you have the interesting dilemma of people say, well, you could tag him. All right. So you also have the next year. You got Drake May, all right, and his option is not going to be like a cheap price, like $18 million, like in Dallas, because let's just presume that Drake May gets selected to the Pro Bowl again on an original ballot, not as an injury replacement. That means his fifth-year option is going to be the franchise tag number for the quarterback. All right, so we're talking somewhere between 15% of the cap. So, like, let's say the cap is in 340, 350 range. All right, that's close to $50 million for Drake May's fifth-year option, and that's all hitting against the cap 1 year. And then you're thinking about tagging Christian Gonzalez. All right, then let's say the tag number is going to be 25. So you get $50 million on May, 25 on Christian Gonzalez. All right. Then you got the other players on this team who are going to get paid. All right. You're squeezing. You're going to cause yourself a squeeze on, I would say, unnecessarily. All right. And not to freak out people, but remember this year, the Patriots had the highest adjusted cap number because they carried over so much money. All right. So they capped the league cap number was $301.2 million. They carried over $47 million. And then they had an adjustment over $4 million. So their adjusted cap number was over $350 million. All right. This year. So if the cap goes up like another $20 million next year, all right. So the 27 cap is $320 million. All right. The Patriots are going to be looking at a decrease depending on how much money they carry over and how the incentives go. They could be looking at having the 27 adjusted cap number being less than the 2026 adjusted cap number. I'll tell you this, folks listening in, I'm sure that no one else is telling you that information here. And there's a good chance that because if you look at it, if they roll over, let's say $20 million, they would need to have the players not hit their incentives to get a big adjustment. All right. And then we want the players to hit their incentives, like Elijah Vera Tucker, Romeo Dobbs. All right. There's a chance that next year people are going to underestimate what the Patriots salary cap is because of the incentives.
In a good or bad way?
In a bad way. And it all depends on what you think. If you want to say if a Patriot player hits the incentives this year, it's going to be great for this year, but it's going to affect the cap adversely next year. For example, Tucker. He has, oh my gosh, let's go with Romeo Dobbs because I know his number off the top of my head. He's got $3 million in incentives. All right? If he hits those incentives, all right, the Patriots' adjusted number goes down, for 27 goes down by 3, and his salary cap goes up by $3 million. All right, so that's a $6 million negative swing on their adjusted cap space number. All right, because if he hits incentives, you could do that with Tucker, Gillum. Who else got incentives? All the players who got incentives here, like pretty much all those guys got incentives.
I think.
Huh?
Did Julian Hill?
Yeah, like Julian Hill's got like He's his agent at least realistic. I can make those incentives. I mean, they're still not considered not likely to burn, but he has a good chance if he catches the ball like I think once a game he might get a little bit more than once a game he catches. He might make an incentive.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to put the last thoughts on the Christian Gonzalez situation for me, and then Steve, I was going to shoot over
Okay.
to you. I was just going to say that I still think the ultimate like outcome for this is Christian holds basically just waits and probably waits as long as he can until basically before the start of the season, and then that's where I think you'll see, because he'll maybe before like the season starts, before he gets back on the field, maybe he does want to get that lock and security in before the season actually starts.
Yeah. Because remember, he gets like a $500,000 bonus, roster bonus. If he holds out, he doesn't get that money.
Yeah, and he's fined, too.
Yeah.
Because they can't, and the team can't waive those fines anymore.
No. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, Steve, over to you, bud.
Miguel, good to see you, my friend.
Good seeing you.
Yeah. So I know we're tired of talking about this, but let's just say they extend Christian Gonzalez and they make the trade for AJ Brown. How can they afford this cap wise going into this year?
Oh, AJ Brown's not going to be playing on the deal that he has with the Eagles. So if he agree, and then let's pretend, I know he doesn't have no trade cards, but if he gets traded, it's because he wants to get traded. So he's going to then agree to restructure his deal because he's due over the next 4 years, close to $113 million. 33, yeah, so he's not going to get that. If he was a free agent, he wasn't going to get that money. All right, not at his age, not with his concerns about his injury, his knee. All right, he's not going to get that money. But he does have $33 million guaranteed. I expect I don't think he's going to give up that, but I think he's going to restructure take his deal, that $28 million a year deal, work it way down, probably somewhere in the low $20 million range, maybe 22. I expect that he would have. I wouldn't be surprised if he has the same incentives as Romeo Doubs, which in his case, 1.5 million of that would be considered likely to be earned. The Patriots right now have about $35 million in cap space. They have more than enough cap space to trade for AJ Brown, to sign their draft picks, to extend Christian Gonzalez. They would maybe have to change, not in this year, but in probably next year, how they structure deals. Back in the day when I first started doing this, they used to have what we call a double bonus structure, where the player would get a signing bonus in year 1, and then an option bonus in year 2. I can see them doing that going forward. They don't like using void years like some other teams do. I mean, I think there's 18 teams who use void years and 14 don't. And Patriots are one of the 14 who don't. All right. I think next year they might start using the option bonus like they did in the past in the early part, like with Richard Seymour and Tom Brady and all those guys. I'm not worried about them having enough cap space for this year, because I expect at roster cutdowns there'll be some guys who are cut who have several $1 million in salary, or in $7 million in salary, and active who's going to get cut or traded. It's not, especially, let's say you guys are right and they draft a wide receiver on day 2. All right. I doubt that both Keyshawn Boutte and Demario Douglas going to be both on the roster then. And I say that they have a salary in the $3.5 million range. There's literally, they've been cut. I mean, they just traded away Monte Mobley. They've been creating cap space a little bit each time. And I think when you guys do your roster, 53 man roster projectors, they make it relatively easy for you this year. I think as long as everybody stays relatively healthy in training camp, I think it would be pretty easy for us to guess who's going to 53 are.
Okay. Now, a follow-up question to that is, well, do you believe that they'll restructure Michael Onwenu this year?
Yes, and that would create $10 million in cap space
If they restructure him?
if they extend him, because he's in his last year's deal. So he's I doubt that he would take a pay cut now with the chance to earn back the money. He'd be better off long term to force the Patriots to cut him if they don't want to play him at his current salary cash. If they don't want to pay him that much money, he'd be better off forcing them to trade him or to cut him if he wants to, because at that time.
Okay. Good stuff.
I think the draft could be interesting with that too, because I'm not sure that for whatever reason meaning the Patriots brain trust, thought Onwenu was 100% going to be in their future plans, at least earlier on in the season. I think that might have changed as the season played out. This is just me kind of reading tea leaves.
Are you talking about this year, this offseason, the 2026?
We're talking about Mike Onwenu, correct?
Yeah. But are you talking about? So you're saying that you thought that the Patriots were going to let him go before now?
I thought that I thought when this last season that just finished at the beginning of the year, I thought they weren't really warmed up to the Mike Onwenu long-term play at guard. I think that might have changed. And I'm kind of surprised they haven't done anything with this contract, because it seems so easy to save that money and do it. My thought from a draft standpoint is, if a situation, depending on how the board falls, if they take an interior offensive lineman, let's say in the first 2 days, so the top 3 rounds, I think that will signal the Mike Onwenu's final year in New England for sure. I think, and then I would think they would either look to trade him, or they would have him play, let whoever they draft sit, and then take over next year. And if the season doesn't go the way they're hoping, maybe they move him to the deadline, or maybe not. But I'm not sure they hold on to the money long term, depending on how the board falls. That's a total guess, but I'm wondering why that move hasn't been made yet, because it seems so obvious to me, and I'm wondering if the team is 100% committed to him long term.
Here's a little tidbit for you guys.
All right, here we go.
I know from figuring out from Ben Volin's tweets about the performance-based program, I know that Michael Onwenu did not make any of his weight bonuses last year.
Mm-hmm. There was some,
and he had $300,000 in weight bonuses. He didn't make any of them.
I think that there was definitely concerns with that, because there's a reason why Mike Onwenu was available when he was available in Michigan. And it was because teams were afraid of the weight issue. Yeah,
he's one of the few players in the league with a weight clause, and he didn't make any of his weight at all.
Yeah, and so
I just think, and I know, and I don't know, but yet that he's still on the roster now. And none of his money, he doesn't have any guaranteed money. It only becomes guaranteed if he's on the roster week 1.
Yep. So that's why I think the draft is going to be interesting for that whole situation.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on, and we were kind of talking about it. I've been thinking about this for a while.
It makes a lot of sense. Because
so if you're talking about Christian, to me, sorry, Miguel, if you're talking about like players to watch, like I'm watching Onwenu, I'm watching Christian Barmore, I'm watching I want to say Carlton Davis, but that seems the first 2 ways. I don't see that one as much, but those 2 guys, I'm really just curious on their situations. I think that when you inherit big contracts from guys that some teams were scared of, at least early on. So Christian Barmore, Mike Onwenu coming out in the draft, but like there were teams that were hesitant of them for whatever reasons. Okay, they're not the same reasons, but different for every player.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you have a new regime, and I know Elliot Wolf is still here, but you have Stretch, you have Rabel. So now you have two new guys in that front brain trust that are trying to figure out if these pieces are in their long-term plans. Let's not forget they overturned 40% of the roster in year one and then let every single unrestricted free agent walk. So to me,
Yeah.
as our friend Paul Perillo would say from Patriots.com, not sure some of these guys should buy green bananas.
Yeah.
So I just I just wonder with those two guys, and the draft to me will be interesting. And again, I think both players will be on the team if you were asking me right now for this coming year. But I do think there are two names that I have underlined as I look through the roster right now as we're talking on April 9th.
If they were to pick a defensive tackle early, then I'd be more concerned about Christian Barmore. I know you just briefly brought up Carlton Davis, but his salary for this year is fully guaranteed. They would have to get someone to trade for him. They're not going to cut him.
Well, so it'll be really interesting because there's a lot of good interior linemen. There's a lot of good defensive tackles, but let's stick with defensive tackle because we just talked about guard. And if they take, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the kid's name? The big defensive tackle from Ohio State.
McDonald.
Yes, thank you. So if they were to take him in the first round, then yeah, but you can find a starting interior defensive lineman on day 3. So if they take someone day 3, I could look at it and say, okay, there's your Kyrus Tonga replacement. If they take someone in the first, second, or third round, then my antenna goes up for Christian Barmore.
Yeah, it's people forget that they usually grade the draft expecting for the current year, but the draft is usually done for the future years.
Which only enhances exactly what we're talking about because you just talked about how the cap with all the escalators will be more for next year. So that's why those bigger numbers they get attention.
The Patriots basically need to have a good to great draft in the next couple of years to handle if we believe they can extend both Christian Gonzalez and Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's no you don't want those guys to get to the tag to play on a tag because that's just a big number, especially for Drake May. Because it's like literally for him, you're talking 20% of $50 million. That's 50. You're going from a $50 million cap hit to $60 million cap hit. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want that. You want to do a deal with those guys as soon as possible to make sure the next couple of years you got enough cap space because you had a relatively good draft last year. All right. So we know that Jared Wilson and Greg Woodson, they're more than likely their salaries in 2028 will be increased because they would have earned the escalator, the proven performance escalator. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about those things already. I'm thinking about in 2028. We already got two guys from the 25 draft who's going to earn the performance escalator, and there might be some other guys who might do it from next last year's draft.
But you're a business guy, Miguel. When new management, when new ownership comes into a business, they're going through books, right?
Yeah.
So they're going through the books and last year, and they flipped their roster because they want to go ahead and have their guys for their system and their locker room and their culture that they're building in place. Then they have to look at the money, and they're doing things like you're doing, where you're looking at several years out. It's not just a small little plane. They're looking at the financial system from a macro view as well as a micro view. And then you're also looking at things like locker room chemistry. Who are the guys that we want to reward? And we want, because that is a real thing. They, in their mind, it's great that they're willing to pay guys outside of the locker room, but guys want to see other players that are working hard and succeeding and having success on their own team be rewarded too, to know that if they work hard and perform on the field, they'll be rewarded in the same way. So it is a weird balance. and it is run like a business sometimes. But Mike, where do you want to go next, man?
Well, I think Miguel hit on a very interesting topic, and you did as well, Derek. So let's kind of stay on that. I mean, the white elephant in the room continues to be Drake May, and looking at his contract, future years, what this is going to look like for the New England Patriots. Miguel, I think you've given us already some great information about where the Patriots might want to go, where this looks. But you and I, on previous platforms, have talked about this several times. You believe this has the potential, and probably will be, the largest, the most lucrative contract the New England Patriots organization has ever handed out to any player.
Yep.
What should the Patriots be looking to do to prepare themselves for that? What should Patriots fans be prepared to hear when they talk about Drake May's long-term deal to keep him in New England?
I said this before to you, Mike, and so if you heard me be on Mike's show before, then it's nothing new. Drake May's contract will be for more money than Tom Brady ever made total with the Patriots. It might be even total. No, with the Patriots, let's not forget, he'll make more money in this contract than Tom Brady made with the Patriots. Period. And folks, and it sounds like that. Wow, but the reason for that is the cap is so much more than now than it was when Tom Brady came in. Like when Tom Brady came in, the rookies. The minimum rookie salary was $225,000 or $230,000. Now it's $885,000. Like he's gonna get paid. I mean, Dak Prescott's getting to 60. There's a whole bunch of guys around $55 million. I see him somewhere between 55 and 60. And for people who say he should take less money like Tom Brady did. Tom Brady was married to Giselle. Giselle was a supermodel. All right, he made the least amount of money in the couple. He didn't actually take less money until 2013. 2010, he became the highest paid player in the league. It just started in 2013 where he actually started taking less money. There's no reason for those people who suggest that Drake May should do the same thing as Tom Brady will be getting that Tom Brady, that Drake May is not married to a supermodel, and that
and Michael better start making more cookies.
And that Tom Brady signed several contracts before he started taking a real discount. Okay, so let's. I gotta.
If you consider $60 million a year just finance, salute on me.
The Godfather. Oh my gosh! It's out there. I wouldn't worry about it. I say he's going to be on it. If you want to buy, or you're worried about buying a Drake May Patriots jersey, go ahead. He's going to be on this team. Long term. I was like, running up to the MVP. That was just crazy. I'm like, literally, and everyone has him. I don't know. I would think everyone should have him at least in the top 10 of quarterbacks. All right. And that's what I'll say this about Christian Gonzalez. I would be hard pressed to take someone serious who doesn't have him in the top 5. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have him in your top 5 cornerbacks, I find it hard.
He's in the top 2 for me. The only one.
Same. That's what I'm saying.
It's either him or Patrick Surtain in my mind, but that's
yeah. So I'm thinking it's like, yeah, exactly. I was like, if you have him out the top 5, he's gonna get paid, folks. I don't. And the other thing is to be interesting is that we haven't talked about is Patriots sold some part of the team to private equity, so they have more cash than they have before. So we don't know. Like, if I was them, if I bought 8% of the team, I want the team to spend money on their players because the best way to get a return on my investment is this team to win. All right. There's nobody. If they lose, it's gonna be hard for you to make up your money. All right.
Well, that's why last year was so big for them too, in so
Yeah.
many ways. In so many ways, from strictly a business and brand standpoint, they
Yes.
needed last year. After I think I think it's fair to say this when I say the word we, and I mean from Patriots observers in general. I think a the greater masses of we kind of we knew after the Brady thing that whatever happened with Bill, there was going to be some kind of fracture. Obviously, there's going to be some
Yeah.
kind of however it was going to end. It wasn't going to be super clean. It was going to be hard because especially because you're not just getting you're not just replacing a coach. You're essentially replacing the entire infrastructure, the organization aside from ownership. I mean, he had his hands everywhere. So now adjusting that, getting new guys in place. And after, the Mayo year, and we don't even have to touch on that, but like just kind of getting the team back on their feet, so to speak, and then to get back to a Super Bowl, just a huge jump from a business standpoint. But anyways, Steve, got another question from Miguel?
So, Miguel, look, I know time's starting to run a little short here, but
Can't get Ian upset.
yeah. He's the guy that makes the rules, but at the same time, how do you think they're set for this year cap wise? I know you said they have this, but is there anybody on the team currently in the top 51 that you think we should really keep an eye on that, just because of their contract could be out the door?
Oh, great question. They cut the guy. I thought they traded the guy. They would have answered. I would have answered. Honestly, if you asked me that before the trade, I would have said Manny Mapu. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who I'd be concerned about. Like if they, like for example, Christian Barmore. If they draft a guy, a defensive tackle, on day one. I'd be concerned about that. If they get an interior offensive lineman either through a cut, trade, or the draft, and Michael Wano, they don't want to pay Michael Wano his $17 million in cash this year. All right. He could be gone. I'm trying to think. I'm just gonna go. The guys that I thought they would get cut this year already cut.
That's all right.
No, that's really because that's a great question. Because I was saying, like, I'm trying to think. It's not gonna be okay. I'd be worried if I was Booty or Douglas if they draft a wide receiver high.
Be more worried if I was Douglas, but
yeah. I'm trying to think who else. Not linebacker, not safety, not cornerback. They didn't even bring back Alex Austin.
it's all right. We can table him, Miguel. It's all right.
Yeah, we can table it. I also think the guys I thought were gonna be cut in September, they already cut or traded. I was like, oh goodness gracious. That's why I said that remark before. I think it could be if they stay relatively healthy during the preseason, the 53-man roster projection is going to be pretty easy for us.
I was just thinking that the other day. That's funny you said that. Because they are making a lot of moves. Right. Either that or you're in trouble. But, I mean, I would say that, as they have been aggressively flipping the roster, I think that was done with a lot of, thought behind it, because I think that the way Vrabel operates with the players, I think that with all the work they put in last season, the guys that were in that room, in the locker room, the guys that he wasn't sure if they were going to be in the long-term plans or not. I think he wanted to do right by them and making a decision quickly if the team was going to pivot, for scheme, contracts, whatever the situation is, all those variables. I think they were trying to get ahead of that a bit, and because it is tough, it is a balancing act, and there's always after the draft, there's going to be a scramble in free agency, and then all of a sudden you'll have the voluntary workouts and mandatory workouts. And when training camp happens, then there's variables with injuries, because as you brought up earlier, it's something that we want to talk about, but it's something that's that happens across the league. It's just to what it is when you're dealing with this amount of players running around at the speeds that they do. So those are all reasonable things. But Mike, you got another question from Miguel as we get ready to wrap up?
Yeah, I think just to give our listeners a little bit more insight, Miguel, you and I have talked several times, and you mentioned earlier on in this broadcast about the draft really not being a big concern. I'll throw in another Godfather reference. The draft is kind of like the Frank Bentangeli of Patriots salary cap. It's small potatoes.
Unbelievable.
It's not really that much of a concern. In your words, why would you say that it's not much of a concern, and why do you believe that the Patriots are always going to be well suited heading into the draft? And does this really apply to all teams, or is it just the way the Patriots kind of manage things that puts them in a good position?
Ooh, let's just go for this year. All right. Because, in the recent years, the Patriots had, what was that year that I knew with Chung? I was like, they did something with Chung after June that they had to do in order to sign the rest of the draft picks. Ever since then, the Patriots have always had enough cap space at the draft to sign all the draft picks. And here's the thing I want to say to people about the draft. And thank you, Mike, for this question. I keep on hearing from people, they get the $35 million in cap space, but $11 million has to go to the draft picks. That is so wrong. And let me tell you why, folks. All right. The player who's drafted in the 7th round, all right, he's going to get a salary of $885,000. All right. His cap number is going to be so low, he's not going to make the top 51. So that $885,000 is not going to count the cap. Only his signing bonus proration will. All right. And now let's say, so I'm just going to use round numbers just for the sake of without looking it up. All right. So I'm just going to say you got a 7th round pick, and what's going to say he has $75,000 signing bonus proration. You got 4 guys in the 6th round. All right. Once again, their salaries won't count the cap once they get signed. All right. And that's going to be mostly the guys going to get signed sometime in May to before the draft, before training begins in July. All right. Of course, if they make the roster, the $885,000 will count against the cap. But what I'm saying, when you sign that player in May, right after the draft, he's only going to those guys who are in the bottom, the day 3 for sure, and those guys drafted in the day 1 is 1st round, definitely count against all the caps going to count against the cap. Day 2 is 2nd and 3rd round; those guys will count against the cap. The 4th round will count against the cap, but anybody who counts against in the 5th, 6th, and 7th, this size won't count against the cap. And then even the guys in the 1st round, right? Let's say the guy drafted the 31st pick. All right. Once you sign him, he's going to push a guy who has a salary of $1.075 million off the top 51 list. Mm-hmm. So if his cap number was $4.75 million, right, the net effect would be $3 million on the cap. So you do that for 11 players, all right? Mm-hmm. You really, that $11 million that people saying, it's actually $3 million.
Right. That's a great distinction, Miguel. Thanks for sharing that, because I do think that's important. As some people, give themselves.
There'll be one. I cannot believe how long it took me to get the beat writers to get this right.
And this is why you're here, to serve the people.
Sets the record straight, folks. He always has.
And a couple of them still don't listen to you, man.
At their own peril.
No, it cracked me up when who got the franchise tag? 3 beat writers says it didn't count until he signed it. I'm like, oh, goodness gracious, folks! I mean, like literally, we've had you had decades of the franchise tag. We've seen it all the time, and they still got it wrong, and I'm just shaking my head.
Miguel, before you go, I know you're not big into the draft, but just a quick question for you: is there a position that, in like more than any other, for whatever reason, is there a certain position
I'm intrigued what they do with right tackle.
right tackle.
I am intrigued at yes, the right tackle, who's going to be the successor to Morgan Moses, intrigues me. Do they trade up to get um, one of the good tackles? Because it seems to be a drop off.
Yeah.
Like there's all right, and you know what I'm saying. So like there seems to be some guys who fit in the top of the second round or first round, and then there's a big gap. So how do you obtain successor to Morgan Moses? All right, that intrigues me. And then like I said before we got on the air, I do think they're going to make a lot of trades because they have 11 draft picks. And I think it's best, the way I understand this draft to be, I think it's best to move up. And maybe if you can't move up, maybe try to change some draft picks for the 2027 draft. All right. I'm intrigued by what happens in right tackle. Also, going to think that they are going to get. I want to see if they double dip at Claire's favorite position, tight end. I can't shake the feeling that they're going to double dip at that position. I don't know why. Maybe because I like Claire so much, but
I thought that until I saw the money they gave Julian Hill, and then that idea went out the window.
Yeah, it's a number. He's getting paid as the number 2, and Hunter Henry is not signed past this year. So if they were to draft someone in the second round, I could see them using maybe a 6th round pick on another guy, and then or seventh, because those guys in the 6th and 7th round, half the time they make the team, or less than half the time they make the team or not. You know what I'm saying? They usually. So if they make the team, it's great. If they don't, it's not a big deal. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the tackle position will be interesting. I mean, after your top 5, 6 prospects, there's a pretty big gap. And so it'll be interesting, especially where the Patriots are picking, if they elect to go that route. Because if they don't, I think that, I don't want to say they're conceding the fact, but they kind of are conceding the fact, if they don't take one at 31, that they are projecting a project versus someone who, if it's, whether it's, the gentleman from Arizona State or Blake Miller from Clemson, if it's one of those guys, maybe it's like, okay, well, you're the heir apparent to Morgan Moses after the following season. But we'll talk about that on future shows. Steve and I just recorded a show talking about defensive back prospects coming out, and Mike, Steve, and I have a show next week. We'll break down the front 7 prospects for the draft, because we are recording the show 2 weeks from today. We are going to be we'll be watching the first round of the draft. So I'm really excited for that. Miguel, anything you want to plug for yourself, my friend, before you head out?
You can find me on Blue Sky. I'm trying to this year. I'm trying to reach my goal of raising $2,500 for the walk to end the Alzheimer's. As you guys probably know, I lost my mother to Alzheimer's last year. I hate that disease. I would love to see. I don't want to have any other of his family to go through what we had to go through, and that's all I got to say. Because I get choked up. I don't hate things in my life, but I hate Alzheimer's.
Well, I appreciate you opening up and sharing that information with us, Miguel. So sincerely appreciate your time joining us today. Please, everyone, be sure to check out wherever you can find Miguel Benzan, our friend Pat's cat. Thanks again for everyone listening to this episode of Patriots No Huddle, brought to you by PatsFans.com. For Miguel Benzan, our special guest today, Mike Diabate, Steve Balistrieri, I'm Derek Havens, and we will see you guys